Hello, today is July the 9th, 2021. We are trying a new recording program and hopefully our sound quality will improve when Norm Winsky tells us what is astrologically in store for us. So Norm, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. And thought I would review what we did when I was last on your show, or we had some technical difficulties. So I guess that you did this actually. But here's what we had for back on June. I was on. We did that June 21, I believe. And so I went back. That was a Monday. I went back over the weekend there of the 18th, and I showed where we had. And by the way, if any of these technical terms, if you don't understand them, the same time, rather than my taking time to explain them, if you'll just call me, I'll be happy to explain them. So Jupiter is in Pisces and turned retrograde. Pisces is oil. That's because Pisces is the sign of the fish swimming in the big water, in the big liquid, and oil is the big liquid commodity. So there you go. So then we have Mercury. The AC is after the close. We had June 22 AC after the close. Mercury in Gemini turned direct. And so, and by the way, anytime we have this, is basically the planets are changing trend when they turn retrograde or direct. And when the planets change trend, the markets often change trend. So Mercury is grains, and by the way, all these points apply to the stock market. The stock market is the big basket of everything, and it responds to everything. Commodities are narrow filters and only respond to certain things. So there we go. So we have Mercury would turn direct the night of the 22nd, corn, soybeans, wheat. Then we had a full moon in Capricorn. Anytime we have a full moon, new moon, then we round up the usual suspects, financial, grains, precious metals, and because in Capricorn we added coffee. And then the night of the 24th, we had Neptune in Pisces. Neptune is said to be the ruler of Pisces, so that's a double whammy for Pisces, and that's oil, so that was particularly strong for oil. And then the night of the 25th, we had Helio. That's from the point of view of the sun. Jupiter in Aquarius line up with Uranus and Taurus, and that has to do with cattle, copper, and cotton. And then that same evening, the night of the 25th, that was was that a weekend? Yeah, that was a weekend. We had heliocentric from the point of view of the sun. Mars entered the sign Virgo, which is soybeans. So here's our oil. There we go. I stretched the window just a little bit. You see that we have a virtually double bottom there between the 17th and the 18th. I allow one day, and so I pushed the window into Monday, and there we go. So if you bought there, you would have done well on the crude oil. We're one day early and just a little bit in price ahead of that high there on the oil, and then you had a nice pullback there, and you could have made some money. When we have a winner, it's a green arrow. If I have a miss, that's a red arrow. And like the gold here, when it's going sideways, we do nothing. That's a gold bar, a yellow bar. Okay. For Newton's law, for every action, there's opposite equal reaction. And so if more opposite of sideways is more sideways, so you can't hard to make money going sideways. Here's a silver, did the same as the gold going sideways. Here's copper, made a little high there, and then it had a drop, so that's a winner. Here's cattle, was rallied into our window there for cattle, and that was a top, and it pulled back about three handles. Every handle in cattle is worth $400. Handles a full penny, full number, and there you go. So that's 12. Here, cotton was really nice. You had up, 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 and then hit the top right there, and then a big down 2 days later. Every penny in cotton is worth $500. Well, that was some pretty good dough right there. Here's the coffee. Not you got the yellow bar there, so we're not doing anything. But I thought I'd point out it came to the end of that formation there, started kind of almost a wedgie triangle formation right on my window there, but it was going sideways, so we couldn't figure out. You'd have to buy the breakout there, and that's not part of my regular methodology. Corn, we're coming down, down, down. There's the mercury is grains, so but it went a little bit lower, so that's a miss. And then at the moon there, we hit right past the low there, and then you had a big rally in corn. I think it was about 80 cents. That's worth $4,000. Okay, so soybeans did something similar. Nowhere didn't turn on the mercury direct. But then on the moon, it was right at the bottom day there, and also it took off when Mars went into Virgo over that 25th weekend. And that beans are a wild critter. If you move, that's every dollar in these grains is $5,000. And there you go. And here's your wheat. Did a similar thing. It didn't turn on the Mercury, but it did make the low on the moon. Here's your S&P. Had a kind of rough sailing there in the S&P. We did get a very nice bottom here when Jupiter turned retrograde over the 18th weekend. There's your low right there. And then up, and then we had a little bit of a short-term top there with Mercury direct. Had about a 40 handle reversal there. And as you know, that's about $2,000 in the futures. And then we had these 4 points here, and then the S&P didn't care and just kept going higher. Okay, here's your T-bonds went sideways, so we do nothing. Here's the dollar pulled back into our moon there and made a low and then rallied. And here's currencies danced to the moon. So the Aussie dollar went up into the moon and topped, and the British pound just kept going past the moon, so that didn't work. But the euro worked on the moon, and the yen made a low on the moon. And so that was pretty good. So if you add up the green arrows and the red arrows, we have 15 winners, 8 misses out of 23 for 65.21%. And here's what's coming up. Now I'm going to go back 2 days to the night of the 7th. We had something, the moon, north node is an 18.6-year cycle, lined up where Uranus was on July the 4th, 1776, when our country was founded. Good old USA. And let's go look at the chart. What happened there? Find the S&P chart, and coming up. No, I think I went too far. Soybean. Here we go. Here's the S&P chart. You see right there. There's these charts were done last night, so we're missing today. And there you're right on the high there, and then you had that was a new all-time high at the time, and then a big down the next day. So obviously a good change in trend point for at least a day or so. And I think we were down at one point about 80 handles or so from that high. And so there you go. So now okay, that was the night of the 7th. Now the reason I bring that up is because we have a kind of a repeat coming up here over this weekend. But first I have to tell you that we have the moons. We did that. And then we're going to have a new moon in Cancer this week. We're going to have a 3-way cluster this weekend. Have a new moon in Cancer. So we have round up the usual suspects, financials, grains, precious metals, and because it's in Cancer, that'll be silver. And then Jupiter's going to line up with the U.S. Uranus. That's the same deal here. Uranus, you say. And the U.S. stocks, T-bonds, dollar. And then over the weekend, we also have Mars aphelion. That's from the Greek. Helios is sun in Greek. And when you have an A in front of the word, that means it's afar. So that'll be, and Mars takes 2 years to go around the sun, so Mars will be at its farthest point this weekend. So that's an important point for Mars. And so we'll look at the markets that have to do with the sun, which are golden, glittery, or sunny, and that's corn, gold, and OJ. OJ is the sunshine drink here in Florida, you know. And now here we go. Here's the repeat of in a way from the night of the 7th. We have the moon's north node going to line up again with the U.S. Uranus, and we'll be looking at the change in trend, U.S. stocks, T-bonds, U.S. style and technology. Let me just go back and summarize this weekend. Okay, so we like to see these markets get to extreme at these change in trend windows. The S&P today rallied to a new all-time high and closed near its highs. That's an ideal scenario for my system here, my methodology. And so I think I have a high confidence that come Monday, we will allow a lot of these markets that close on or near their extreme highs or lows will probably all reverse on Monday. Okay? Most of them. I can't say all. I can't expect to be perfect, but we try. So there we go. And then the night, we did that. And then the weekend of the 16th, we have one of my top points. When the planets get to zero latitude, the planets go around the sun like horses on a carousel, and they also go like the horse on the carousel also go up and down. And when they get to that midpoint of going up and down, that's zero latitude, and that's a powerful energy point. And so that's the grains also. And keep in mind, all these points apply to the stock market, okay? So now I'm going to show you something that I don't think I ever showed you this before on your show, Jeff. I'm going to talk about fractals. Fractals are when you have repeating pattern at different levels of order. Like a pine tree is a really great simple example of a fractal. The limbs of the pine tree look like miniature pine trees, and the twigs look like miniature limbs. So the branches, you see. So you have the same pattern repeating at different levels of order. Some of you might be Elliott wave fans. Elliott is a type of fractal system. So we can take, let's say we were to take the branch of the pine tree to show we have a Martian land on our doorstep. So what does a pine tree look like? Well, we're not going to go pull the pine tree out of the backyard. We'll go maybe get a twig or a branch and say, this is a miniature model of a pine tree. So if we take a small portion of something and it's a fractal, we should be able to forecast what the bigger picture looks like. So what I've done here last year, I took the treasury bonds. I had this for 27 different markets. I took the treasury bonds price action in January, extrapolated out for the year. That's the blue bars, did that in February, as you see here, published on February the 11th. And then at the end of the year, I overlaid these black bars, the actual prices on top. And as you can see, I think it worked out pretty well. That took a couple of months for the train to get on the tracks, but once it did, it worked pretty well. Okay. All right. If you like that and you want to learn more, please call me. Please contact me. You can email me, call me. I'm in sunny Naples, Florida at 239-594-3939. You can email me in Winsky at mbark, that's a Q, like root beer, BARQMAIL.com, and Skype and Winsky_1. Looking forward to talking and helping some of your folks there, Jeff.
Norm, thanks ever so much. That's a real brave forecast when we hit a new all-time high, and I'm anxious to see if it works. And thank you as always, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Everybody have a great weekend.
Okay, bye.